Stories that are untold, underreported, and all-out inspirational. Carey Pena reports.
Hey guys, I'm Carey Pena. Thank you so much for listening to Carey Pena Reports on iTunes and Stitcher, and for watching our live feed on Facebook and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Inspired Media 360 so you can see all of our shows and interviews. And we want you to check out our new weekly talk show, In the Moment. It drops every Wednesday. In studio with us today is Tony Felice, a guy I love. He is an expert on how to build a better brand. How's that? That's pretty
awesome.
good, right? You're an expert.
Wow, I sound important.
You do, because you are. You have a marketing and branding firm based in Phoenix,
Yes.
Felice Whitney. And I saw today, right, that you were just honored as one of the 20 names to know in advertising and marketing. This is a big list put out, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Coming up, we're going to talk to you about how to build a brand. That is such a hot topic, and I love your insight because you're all about authenticity.
Yes.
And you're going to give some tips to the audience. But first, I really want to talk to you about your personal journey, because
Okay.
you have an incredible personal journey, and I think you're very gracious to share what you've gone through in hopes of helping others.
Sure.
So, Tony, talk to me about when you were diagnosed with Lyme disease and what led up to that.
Wow, yeah. So I worked on Capitol Hill in D.C. and I worked in Hollywood, and I thought I had dealt with some big monsters in my life. Little did I know the most powerful monster would be a teeny tiny tick that unexpectedly bit into me and attempted to ruin my life, I suppose. In 2012, I lost weight very rapidly, and I got very sick with the flu, and the flu wouldn't go away, and it got worse and worse and worse, and day after day was going by. I was not getting better, and so I ended up going on this incredible journey that so many other people with Lyme disease have been on. It's generally speaking around 2-year journey, going from specialist to specialist to specialist who tell you there's nothing wrong with you. And that's a hard thing to hear when you're that sick every single moment of every single day, to the point where you are convincing yourself to try to just hang on for the next moment, not the next day, but the next moment.
What are some of the symptoms that you experience?
Imagine if you had the flu, running a fever, and you rode a roller coaster 12 times and got off, how you would feel. That's how you feel every second of every day. Your muscles hurt, you have brain fog, you have overwhelming fatigue, fevers out of nowhere, joint pain, joint swelling, either rapid weight gain or rapid weight loss. After I lost the weight, it came back on twice as much. So I got fat real fast.
Were you depressed?
I was incredibly depressed, but I'm also an eternal optimist. So I may have just tempered that a little bit. But I did get, towards the end, before I got the diagnosis, I did consider taking my life. In fact, I found daily ways to bargain with God, reasons why I should not do it, not reasons why I should.
Wow.
It was pretty bleak. But I put on a happy face. Most people would have never even known.
So things were spiraling out of control.
Mm-hmm. I was in Cape Cod at this beautiful place called Land's End. That was the moment when I thought, okay, I maybe have another few days in me. And when I came back, I saw my doctor, and he came in and he gave me the diagnosis, and I cried. Not because I was diagnosed with an illness, but because I had an answer.
And you weren't crazy, because you articulated to me in some of our email exchanges about this interview that many doctors had told you, it's kind of just all in your head. And I think that probably a lot of folks listening to this, whether it's Lyme disease or something else, another type of ailment, when you're told, you'll be fine, that's a tough pill to swallow.
It's hard, because after about 6 months, when you're not getting a diagnosis, your friends, this thing happens in their eyes. They can't help it, but they go from caring about your health to caring about your mind, because they think that maybe you might be making it up, or maybe something really isn't wrong with you, but it's deeper than that. You need to have attention maybe for being sick. And trust me, I don't seek the spotlight, but when it happens, that's awesome. But I want it because I'm an amazing business person and I'm an amazing athlete, not because I'm sick. The autoimmune diseases have no cause right now, no smoking gun. No science has said that this causes Alzheimer's, this causes Parkinson's, this causes multiple sclerosis, which is what I was diagnosed with. So we think that maybe either Lyme causes it, or it could be the trigger that the conditions are right that manifests in a person's body.
And now you're very involved in raising awareness and pushing the medical community for better answers.
Yes.
And I might be mistaken on this, but wasn't this brought to light sort of nationally with one of the Real Housewives, right? Mm-hmm. Wasn't she diagnosed with Lyme, and there was a whole sort of storyline going on that everyone thought she was faking it?
Yes, that's true. Her story is like so many of us, right? And fortunately for us, she was in the public eye. She may not carry the same level of credibility that others have that have come along, but she sure has fought a good fight, and she has been very truthful and authentic in her experience. And that's the premise of our show today, is about authenticity.
Authenticity.
And so others have emerged, very famous people who have it. Excuse me, Amy Tan, George W., but it was caught early on. Allie Hilfiger, who is our guest this weekend.
And I posted about you coming on the show, and actually one of my friends, who's a news anchor, I won't say her name because I didn't ask for her permission, but she texted me and said, you know that I was fighting Lyme disease, and this is what has been going on in my life. I had no idea.
Wow.
So where are you at with your health today, and how do you feel in terms of your spirit? Because your business is doing amazing.
It's doing great.
But tell me about your health, and you still fight a lot of battles.
Oh yeah, I have flare-ups. So I have Lyme-induced multiple sclerosis, which means that I have all of the symptoms of MS. But if I had gone on typical MS medication, it would have suppressed my immune system. And guess what happens when you have an infection and you suppress the immune system?
Yeah.
The infection goes nuts. So I have flare-ups, but rather than a 2-week downtime, now I might have a day or two where I'm overwhelmingly exhausted and I have muscle and joint pain. I used to be on a cane. I haven't seen that cane in 8 months.
And you're at the gym all the time, posting those selfies.
Yes. Well,
I wanted you
I
to
get
just...
a lot of grief for that, but I'm trying to inspire
You're
people.
You're proud of where you are. When you
I'm
walk
proud,
through a
but
tough
I want to
battle,
help other people. I know how desperate I was. And the thing about Lyme that's so interesting from the people that I know, and I get to be around entrepreneurs and really amazing people that are crushing it in life who happen to have Lyme disease. It's almost like it finds the one thing that is your greatest fear and it manifests it. Mm-hmm. For me, my greatest fear was to not be taken seriously or to be considered a fraud. And so through the experience, I went from being an athlete to a fat guy on a cane, and I had so much cognitive problems that I lost clients. I wasn't, people would say I didn't remember things. Everything that I was afraid of was being manifest.
For anyone who might be listening or watching who is going through a tough time, mm-hmm. and who maybe is facing sort of the darkness that you faced.
Yes.
And to hear you say that it gives me chills to hear you say that you were contemplating suicide.
Yes.
What words would you offer to them?
The best advice I can give is when I changed from focusing on my disease to what I wanted to be, I went to my doctor and I said, I want to be an athlete again. Let's do everything we can to make me an athlete. Yes, treat the disease, but let's this be our intention. And that's when my life transformed. And I became an athlete again. And now I happen to be someone who has Lyme, but I'm an athlete and I'm a business person and I'm successful, right? So if all of your intention is on the disease, guess what? What you put your intention on, it grows. So don't put your intention on that. If you want to have more time with your kids, if you want to write a book, if you want to be sharper in your mind, have your physician focus on those things.
Now let's talk about your firm, Felice Whitney. And you guys are a branding and marketing firm, but you really focus on authentic brand building. Mm-hmm. What does that mean to you?
Tell the truth. Number one, you can have sizzle, but you have to tell the truth. And you have to have courage and compassion. Right? If you have courage and compassion, then you're going to go real far. Because in order to have courage and compassion, it requires you to push your ego down as much as you can. In fact, I often say, starve the ego, feed the soul, right? Because your ego gets in the way of your perspective. Perspective gives you subtlety. And subtlety is the reason why people purchase things. They care that you've moved them. If you're so busy wanting to tell your story to the world and you're forgetting to ask what people want, then you're not going to do a good job.
And you always talk about this, and all good storytellers do, and that is people need to identify their why. What it is that they're doing, why they are doing that. And I talked to you about why you love branding, and you said, I love how good art can move you and make you feel something. When that power is used for good, you help companies grow, their owners to realize their dreams, and for consumers to get access to really cool products and services.
Yeah.
So
I said that. That's awesome.
You said that, yeah. Those are your words I wrote down. But that's your why. And how important is it for people to really sit down and think about that? It seems simple, but surprisingly, a lot of people cannot answer that in a concise way.
Yeah, sometimes it's a very simple answer. Like, imagine if you're a storyteller, then you probably say to yourself, what am I hoping to do with this story? I want to scare the heck out of these kids. That's your why. So you sit down, you tell a story, and you achieve that, right? The same thing is true if you're making a sneaker. Ask yourself, why am I doing that? Why? Because I want to make women athletes feel great about themselves, right? It's so simple.
And then your campaign needs to all be built around that. You guys are doing something really interesting at your firm, and that is focusing on an executive division, and that is personal brand building. So not just the company entity, but the person behind it. Tell me more.
So let's say, for example, you're the CFO at 3M, and then tomorrow you're the CFO at Apple. Guess what? Everything that you've built around who you are as a person was tied to that company. And Lord, let's hope you don't lose your job, because what's the first thing you do when you lose your job? You scramble, you try to get your resume together, you reach out to your network. What if you had a personal brand that already existed out there on the internet, and it demonstrated to the world the kind of person that you are? What mark are you leaving on the world, right? That's pretty powerful. And you can draw upon that for lots of things. It make you a better fundraiser. Might help you sell more books. It might
give you a personal connection with the community, which I think is so important.
Yeah. So first of all, understand who your audience is, right? So you're more impactful, and then be true to who it is that you are, and be mindful of that everywhere, especially online. Okay. Be very mindful of the things you say, the pictures you post, how active you are. I have people tell me, I'm not into social media. Well, I hope you don't lose your job, because I'm an employer. Guess what I do? I seek out people who apply to understand where they are, right? And I'm not interested in sneaking around and learning about them. I want to know who they are as a person. And it doesn't matter to me if it's on LinkedIn or Twitter or wherever. I want to know more about that person, whether or not they fit into our company.
Yes. So should people be investing more in their personal brand? I had this conversation with a girlfriend of mine who's a television reporter. And of course, she posts a lot about her show that she's on. It's always about the show. And I just talked to her about it. And I said, but none of it really relates to who you are as a person. If I was following your Instagram account, I wouldn't know anything about who you are. I know about your show, which is great. But to your point, if she were to leave there, she hasn't built up her personal brand.
No, and there's intellectual property issues as well. We have an example on our website, Kim Niklev. She's a jewelry designer. We built her personal brand. If you go there, you can get an idea of what it is I'm talking about. Her story's there, right? Some of it's tied to the work she does. Other part of it is tied to who she is as a person and the impact that she's had in the world.
So for Tony Felice sitting here today, only not too long ago, who was in this deep, dark place searching for answers, where is Tony Felice today?
Oh my gosh, leaps and bounds from where I was. And what happened to me was a gift. Because when everything's going your way, you can get stagnant, right? You don't push yourself, you don't grow. Unless you're an amazing human being and super evolved, you need a push sometimes. And when the rug is pulled out from under you, you look at your life, you look at the people in your life, you take a stock of who you are as a human being, and it changes you. And if you can manifest that into something amazing, then I hope you can. I know I did.
And so people can reach out to you, find out more about the research going on in the Lyme community as well.
I get at least 2 or 3 people a week that are desperate for help, so I'm used to it.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Especially here in Arizona, people are desperate for answers. So private message me on Facebook, and we'll help you.
So glad that you joined us today.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing your story, Tony. Really appreciate it. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening to Carey Pena Reports, our weekly podcast focused on people who have inspiring stories to share, just like Tony. You can get in touch with us at inspiredmedia360.com. And guys, be sure to check out our new talk show, In the Moment. I'm so excited about it. It is going super cool so far. Today's show produced and engineered by Shannon Hernandez, brought to you by Inspired Media 360. Until next time, stay inspired.